Diana Nyad started as a competitive swimmer at just 7. By 22, she took a dip and made a huge splash, swimming 28 miles around the island of Manhattan. Soon after, she decided to embark on a much more ambitious journey, swimming more than 100 miles from Cuba to Key West, Florida. But that would become a far more elusive goal.
The Cuba swim is rough. I think I'm capable of making it.
In 1978, she tried and failed and officially retired from swimming on her 30th birthday.
I thought to myself, I will never swim another stroke in my life.
But at the age of 60, Diana shocked the world and returned to conquer the dream that had eluded her for decades.
Now to Diana Nyad, all eyes on the legendary athlete making one more attempt to swim from Cuba to Florida.
Finally, on her 5th attempt, September 2nd, 2013, Diana became the first person to swim from Cuba to Florida without a shark cage.
We should never, ever give up.
After 36 years, she once again emerged from the sea victorious.
You're never too old to chase your dreams.
My sister. Well done. What courage, what courage. You know, just as a light note to start, Hollywood has come knocking. And yes, evidently they're going to do the story of my adventures in my life, and evidently Sandra Bullock's interested in playing my role. So, you know, once I saw myself, you know, swollen like that, I thought, Sandra Bullock, well, I'll never look that good again. So it's a good thing. The producers say to me, you know, you're going to have to spend hours and hours, probably weeks and months with whatever actress wants to play you. And I said, I don't want to sit around with some actress. I'm busy, you know. And they said, well, it's Sandra Bullock. I said, I have an extra bedroom in my house. You know, she's welcome to live with me for a couple of months. That's fine by me. You know, before there's grit, before there's guts, before there's grace, before there's even the most critical element in all of us overcoming our heartache and our suffering, which may not be as grievous as Norma's was, but it's the human condition. We all do suffer. Tenacity. There is vision. So Norma, before you took your first steps, before you learned to take those first strokes in the ocean, your vision was, and for your children, but for yourself, was to dream and not to live a life of tragedy. And that vision was so strong, your resolve was so strong, that you learned to take those strokes. And now look what an example you are to all of us. Lily Bossy. Lily Bossy dreams big. She has big concepts, but like Margaret Mead and all the great sociologists, the anthropological analysts of humankind have known that we never make any progress unless it's one day at a time, one step at a time. And since I've known Lily, I mean, this woman is a doer. Lily doesn't go into a board meeting and suffer fools to say, haven't we been talking about that for 2 years? I'm sick of talking about it. I want to get it done, and I want to get it done today. And everybody says, yes, Miss Bossy, it'll be done today. So we admire you, Lily. I have a friend in the audience named Tracy Gluck. Are you back there, Tracy? Stand up. Tracy is a big-time, many-time national awardee for J.P. Morgan for wealth management. And when 2008 hit, a lot of people ran for the hills. It was desperate times. And we were in a time of looking at people not caring about the people they represent. And Tracy went to her office and stayed up for 48 hours to call every client of hers, look over her computer, look over her paperwork. How was she going to help them? Not her own finances, her clients, and she made sure that they were going to make it through long term. Tracy is a visionary who says, I want this world of finance to care about people, not just to make money. I admire you, Tracy. You know, I was lucky. I got to go to a story of Tegla Larupe. Maybe you know Tegla from the Kikuyu tribe in Africa. It's when years ago, not so many years ago, the girls wore long cotton skirts that brushed the dirt, and the boys wore, you know, fairly short cotton shorts. And the boys, which is why those men have become the best distance runners in the world, would run 12 miles to school in the morning and 12 miles home, barefoot. And one day, Tegla borrowed one of her brother's shorts, and she ran to school. She was 8 years old. She beat even the 15, 16, 7-year-old boys, and there was a buzz around the village. Tegla runs like the wind. And she called in by the chief that night, and he says, "You will never defy our tribe again. For thousands of years, the women and girls wear long skirts. They do not run. The boys and men only run. I'm going to have to beat you, and I want everyone in the tribe to hear the beating, because they're going to know that you have defied the tribe's morals and ethics, and you will never defy us again." And he beat her so badly across the legs that to this day, she has 2-inch-high keloided scars on the back. And when he finished, tears standing in her eyes, she said, "Next time, you're going to have to beat me again, because I will run again. I ran like the wind, and I loved it." A couple of months went by, and the bloody wounds healed a bit. She borrowed the boys' shorts, and she ran again, and she beat all the boys again. And the chief brought her in that night, and his kind of New York version was, "Now what am I going to do with you?" You know, he said, I should beat you again, but your will is too strong. The next day, he took her to Nairobi. She became a member of a track club there, and she only 4 years later, barefoot, won the New York Marathon and was the first woman ever to run under 2 hours and 20 minutes. And now she goes back to her tribe. To her credit, she has money now. She could live anywhere in the world, but she loves her people. And she's kind of chatting with the chief one day. And he says, "Oh, you're such a headache. It's just, you know." She says, "You know why I'm here? The clitorectomy, we're going to do away with that." And he says, it's the honor. She says, "There's no honor. You're too modern a man. We're going to do away with it, and we're not going to take years to do it. We're going to start tomorrow." And they started the next day. I don't pretend to have known Norma's deep, dangerous life. I don't pretend to know Tegla Larupe's tribal life. But I was a kid who stood on the floor, on the shore of Fort Lauderdale, literally. When I was a kid, 9 years old, the Cuban Revolution broke out. And overnight, thousands of exiles, Cubans, flooded into my hometown. And we had a mystique about that forbidden land. They started to call it the Cuban graveyard. So many Cubans were coming across, not making it. We'll never know how many are at the bottom of that ocean. And I used to say to my French mother, "I know it's out there somewhere. It's Cuba. Where's that magical land of Cuba?" And she would say, "I'm going to show you. Look this way. No, it's more this way. There, it's right there. As a matter of fact, it's so close. You little swimmer, you could almost swim there." So in the beginning, for me, it was a connection of our two beautiful people, not allowed to see each other anymore, share our art and our literature and our music anymore together. And then it became a quest of the impossible. You know, when you set the bar high, maybe reaching for some star that you're never really going to touch, you eventually, with discipline and with focus, week after week and month after month and year after year, yeah, maybe you never will touch that beautiful star of yours, but now you're up in the rarefied heavens of achievement and of pride. I'd rather fail and know who I am, discover what my potential is, than set the bar low and achieve everything constantly. And this Cuba swim became a quest of the impossible. The best swimmers in the world, men, women, young, fast, since 1950, have been trying to cross this vast, dangerous wilderness of an ocean. It's the box jellyfish, the most potent venom on earth. When I was stung all over the body, millions of them in 2011, I should have died that night. I should not be here today to tell the story. 95% of people who are touched by the tentacle of the box die instantaneously. We had a medical team. It's an expedition. You've got over here by your boat, which you're never allowed to touch, but you come over, you tread water. You've got your jellyfish team, your shark team, your navigation team. You're trying to swim north across a very strong current, the Gulf Stream, which is dragging you very hard to the east. And every time you stop and you're in crisis, you're in the middle of hyperthermia and hallucinations, and somehow the resolve keeps the right arm coming up and the left arm coming up, no matter what's going on. Your team is starting to say, you know, Guam is lovely this time of year. You know, this Cuba thing is, Vegas went down to 0.00% chance of anyone ever making it. And for me, it became about the journey, more than even the destination. It's the old Greek tale of what do you discover? What friendships do you make? The noble friendships between my team and me that no one can ever take away from us. And I started to not even know if that other shore was going to be possible, and the journey was still worthwhile. You're out there in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning. 4 billion stars that you can literally see out in the beautiful Gulf Stream. You're in a state of isolation. You don't see anything, you don't hear anything, and you're singing Neil Young. I hear you knocking at my cellar door. I love you, baby, can I have some more? Ooh, the damage done. And your life, the life of this beautiful blue jewel of a planet, is spinning in your heart and in your head. And then Bonnie, your head handler, whistles when you've forgotten who you are and why you're out there. But your will and your resolve keep you going. She brings you over to the side of the boat and she says, look up, you've got to see. What's in front of you? And I said, Bonnie, my vision is shot. It's a canvas of black. It's a black ocean. It's a black sky. She said, no, there's something. You've got to see it. Feather up a little bit. I feathered up. There's a filament of white right across the center of that black canvas. I said, Bonnie, the sun's coming up. It's going to be the 3rd day now of nonstop swimming. As Norma can tell you, the salt exposure, the mind, it's another universe we're in out there. The sun's coming up. You know what the sun is. It gives you hope. Maybe the sun's rays are going to warm my body. And Bonnie said, it's better than the sun. Those are the lights of Key West. And there they were. I first stood on the shore in Havana at the age of 28. And over 35 years, I tried this epic quest 5 times. And now the 5th time, and the lesson is, if you just don't quit, you will reach your other shore, whatever it is. A couple of hours from the end and the stumble up onto that beach, I asked Bonnie to bring the whole team, 44 people, close by. They made a semicircle of boats right here, and I cried like a baby. And I said, I guess I'm going to walk up on that beach pretty soon. I guess somebody's going to take my picture. But don't you ever forget, my team, that we did this together. We made history together. So it's been 4 years. It was just now Labor Day. 4 years, the anniversary of that stumble up onto that beach. And how could I be more humble in telling you what's been coming my way? Just the privilege of being with you, Lily, and all of you, Norma, tonight. I take it seriously. I could cry, the privileges we get. What do we say now? There are 7 billion people on the planet. Half have nothing. Not enough water to drink. No shelter over their heads. And the rest of us, the other half, have something. And you don't have to be Norma, a champion. You don't have to be me setting some outrageous record. You just have to live your life. Nobody else can live it for you. You never get to do this day over again. Don't you want to get to the end with grit and with guts and with grace and with tenacity and with vision? You do. I can see you. I'm looking in all your eyes. So you pick it. You pick the altered universe you want to create. And you do your best every day. I got a chance to meet Keynote Mfume when he was head of the NAACP. And his story affected me tremendously. I've tried to live by those words ever since. It's been 30 years ago. He was raised by his grandmother. It was just the two of them, and they were very tight. And she came into a bad cancer. He was a little boy. My memory was 7 or 8 years old. And he was at the hospital with her on one of her final days. And he was sitting on the bedside, and he was crying. He said, "Grandma, I can't go on without you. I don't want to. It's us. It's you and me." She said, "I know, but you're a little boy. You're going to live a beautiful life. You're going to be a leader. You're going to do great things. You want to remember me, though? I'm going to have to ask you to do something that you'll remember me by all the rest of your days. It's a big commitment. Every day." He said, "I will, Grandma. Whatever it is, I'll do it." She said, "All right." You know that moment, that magical moment we all feel every morning when we wake up? You're not wide awake yet, but you're not in deep slumber. There's just a haze. It's an instant. It's not even a moment. He said, I know that feeling. I know that little moment. She said, "All right, every day, for the rest of your life, before you swing your legs over to touch the floor and get out to grab that tiger by the tail yet again, say to yourself, make this day worthwhile." And it's up to you. Is it just for you? Is it for the whole world? Is it Nelson Mandela's vision of changing the world at large, not just his ghetto in South Africa? Is it Lily Bossie's view of changing the whole world, not just her community of Beverly Hills? Well, Keynote Mfume decided he was going to make every day worthwhile for himself, his community, his nation, and the world at large. And I see you all. Make every day worthwhile. What a privilege it is to be with you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.